with whatever the idea is. I know what I enjoy. I mean, monsters are a common theme with my stories, for example, which usually means horror. And if not horror, then it's going to be more fantasy and science fiction. But I let the story go where it is, and then I figure out what it is after that. So with Gideon and Rose, it's set in the late 19th century, and given that you've got the monsters, you've got alchemy, also it ends up falling into the gothic horror category. Now, as for the characters, I brought in a bit of humor with it. Gideon, for example, it's in for the thrill of it. He loves to nothing more than to go back and tell the story at the pub afterwards, and so there's a bit of humor as well. They take into the whole situation with a very different view than everyone else. The people around them are scared stupid, and they're kind of in for the thrill of it to some extent, and also the challenge of it, and helping people as well. Rose is his foil. She's a very odd character. She's actually based on my son, so and he's an odd duck. But she also brings in a little bit more of the moral aspect of it. She has a little bit more perspective on the helping people side of it. So there's some differences between them. Then you figure out where it stands. You bring in a little bit of comedy with it just because of their tone. And mystery, I tend to incorporate a lot of slow revealing of what's going on in the plot. I tend to not be, here's the problem, how do we solve it? It tends to be more of what's actually going on here and digging through it. That's the same way with my new book, The Dark Fantasy. The first 3/4 of it, you're still figuring out what actually happened here. So that puts it into more of a mystery category. So once it's written, that is the genre. Now, once you start to get a grasp on a story, you start to take in those considerations. So I might push towards, for example, maybe shorter or longer length once I know, okay, this is going to be a YA book. Now that I figured out that it's going to be for a younger audience, let's skew shorter. Let's tone down some of the language, not in terms of vulgarity, but in terms of not being so verbose, so complicated. You want to kind of streamline the story a little bit in the plot. So I figure out what the genre is pretty early on in the